Hey, everybody, come on in. Come on in. We're going to have a lunchtime preliminary examination watch for those of you that are available to watch it with us. I know this is very random and last minute, but let me hit this intro and then I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifted. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hey, y'all, it is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Welcome, everyone. I know that many of you are probably on a lunch break. And so I wanted to watch this preliminary examination that is happening here in Detroit. It's related to a block party pow-powing, and they're supposed to have the preliminary examination today. So instead of watching it by myself, I figured that we can watch it together. So make sure when you come in, you hit the like button and all of that good stuff. And hopefully they don't take forever. Because apparently it was like scheduled for 11:45 and then they moved it up an hour. So yeah, let's see what's happening. Let's see what's happening. And I want to take the time out to thank everyone that on Sunday we were in Illinois. And if you guys follow my father's page, he had a musical, and we had service in the morning as well when Deb preached in the morning. So if you guys want to check that out, I also like clipped a couple of the videos of some of the people that were singing if anybody's interested, because they don't want to watch the whole thing. Because honey, it was like a gospel karaoke. And so, yeah, I had to get up there with the mass choir, but between me and you, wasn't in rehearsal, wasn't nothing going on. We just was like, I was like, I hope I know this song. I was up there on a prayer. I was gonna be up there looking like I was singing, but I actually did know the songs. But the musician that you guys heard throughout was from Dev. And so, yeah, gone over there, Miss Buckeye. Thank you so much. I knew she was gonna be on it because Miss Buckeye is his associate pastor over there on his YouTube channel. She be on it, okay? So if you haven't subscribed or you're interested in just, getting the views up so my daddy could get his views up and get what he need going on over on his YouTube channel. But yeah, anyway, if you're just coming in, we are going to watch this preliminary hearing. For those of you guys that don't know what a preliminary hearing is in Detroit, a lot of people, a lot of states that we've done, like Georgia, they go before the grand jury, and you have that option in most states. But typically in Michigan, a request for a warrant is issued. The to the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor decides there's probable cause to arrest. They get arrested, then they go to their arraignment, of which they know what their charges are, and then bond is entertained at that time. But then right after that, we have what's called a probable cause conference, of which you're supposed to exchange no discovery and different deadlines and all of that. But then you have a preliminary examination that in Michigan you have to have within a certain amount of time unless the defendant waives it. And with the preliminary examination, you're going to see some, not necessarily all, because they don't have to present all the evidence. They just have to show that it's probable cause that a crime was committed and that person did it. It's a very low bar. Every now and then you can get those denied and get the case dismissed. I've had it happen to me one time when I did criminal law, like literally one time. But because probable cause is such a low bar. And I think the case that I had, it was an identity issue where they really couldn't tell if it was my client or someone else. So I was able to prevail. But at the preliminary examination, that's what you guys saw with the Naziah Harris case that was going on. That was a preliminary examination. And oftentimes defendants waive the preliminary examination because what can happen, although you can try to argue that there's no probable cause, there can also be more charges added after they do the testimony. So it's a strategy if you're a defense attorney on whether you even want to hold it or if you just want to waive it and allow the bind over. And when you have a bind over, basically our felony charges stay in our district court, and then once probable cause is established or the preliminary exam is waived, you go over to our circuit court, which is, it used to be Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, but we have a new center, Criminal Justice Center. But anyway, it's our criminal circuit court. And you go there and that's it. But it looks like this person is holding a preliminary examination. That is the intent for today. I hope they don't change their mind since I done went live. But we shall see. And then later tonight, I kept saying I was going to go over some one of the alleged victims on Nesto's case, that I was going to try to go over that. So I'm going to do that tonight because I was meant to do it already. But then when I ended up going to Illinois, it was very, very tiring. It was exhausting as heck. And we left Sunday after having church all day. I'm not about that life no more. Like, I did that as a kid, but being in church and then go eat at a restaurant, then come back for some more hours, my body was like, girl, what are you doing? Okay, what are you doing? So yesterday, after I got my work done, I was like knocked out. Had work early yesterday morning and I went to sleep. So I already had some hearings that I had this morning. I have some stuff this afternoon. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. But let me see what y'all talking about, because now we just I'm glad you enjoyed it, Miss Lisa. Child, they had to be all the songs that we used to sing, because I don't know no new ones. Didn't he do it all Sunday, Miss HLS? I was looking at him, I was like, I don't know how you did it. But yeah, he did it. He did it. He was a one-man show in that piece. And I was just there with my fan. Y'all seen me, I was shoot. Hi, Peekaboo. Good to see you. We're just waiting to see if Detroit has it together and it's going to do this preliminary examination on this block party. Let me see if I could get some more information, because I kind of know a little bit about this when it happened, but I don't block Detroit. So I can give you guys some background. Let's see. Okay. So according to Fox 2 News report, they say the suspect is charged in connection with the mass shooting during a block party in Detroit last summer. His name is Demetrius Shaw. He's charged with unaliving 2 people and injuring 19. The suspect behind the mass shooting last summer in Detroit will be in court Tuesday for a preliminary hearing. Demetrius T. Shaw, who is 19, that is horrible, is charged with unaliving and assaulting with intent to unalive for the block party powwowing, which injured 19 people and unalived 2 others. On July 7, 2024, a gunman opened fire at a rowdy party that spilled into the streets of a northern Detroit neighborhood. By the time law enforcement had recognized and responded to the late night block party that had formed in the 13,000 block of Rosini, several hundred people had gathered in the area. Around 2:30 a.m., gunfire started, sending people fleeing from the area. The victims' ages ranges from 17 to 27 years old. The two people unalive were Shanae Fletcher, who is 20, and Philip Arnold, who is 21. The ensuing investigation by Detroit police took months before a person of interest was taken into custody. On January 10th, Police Chief Todd Bettison announced that Shaw had been arraigned on unaliving charges. So that is the background for what we hopefully will be watching soon. Uh, he said I'm here was listening to some old nasty Nesto PCF. She been dropping them calls lately, hasn't she? It's very interesting because see the thing with phone calls from prison is I think she said they had like 800 calls. So when she, around initially when she got her calls and I was doing a lot of my uh freedom of information act requests or public act requests there and I got all the documents for like the complaints and preliminary support reports and all of that. I got a CD from Cobb County as well. I lasted 2 minutes before I was like, I'm not going through all of this stuff. That's it. So shout out to phone calls from prison who went through those calls, and between that and Wade, I think that she puts in her and her husband put in a lot of work. But some of those calls are very interesting and telling because we haven't heard them. Who is this? Sorry. We hadn't heard some of the information that was being said. So I know a few of the more recent ones, she's always been dragging the YouTuber. So she was dragging the YouTubers. Hold on one second. Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta see who this is. Sorry about that. I had to answer the door. I'm like, what is but anyway. So what were we saying? Let me see if this thing started yet. Let's see. Nope, it still hasn't started. Anyway, Wade Wilson wives are nuts. Well, I don't even know what's going on. He still got women that still talking to him, and I don't know. Hey, Alex Corbin, good to see you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The Wade cause alone would be enough to make me quit. Yeah, because he's a little like, I ain't gonna say a little. He is. I don't understand these women's mind frames. Like I don't get their mindset. I don't understand. I just don't understand. But anyway, he has a cult of women. That's some sexy Ari. Yeah. Okay, Detroit, I need y'all to get this together. Okay. You had me going on live. Now I gotta sit here and wait for y'all to get this thing together now. Trying to see this little see this exam. Mm-mm-mm. And you know what? The more calls I listen to, where of course he's talking to Sonya more than anything, the more I understand exactly why the government decided to try to get information from her, because she was saying a lot of stuff to be like background checks, private investigators, um, looking up certain people. We're gonna look up the people that beat the girl up, just all of that type stuff. Like she set herself up for that. I think it's crazy. She set herself up for exactly what was happening. Let me see. Mm-hmm. JMM5, you from the D? I know a couple of people that got injured in this. I wonder if they're going to be a part of it. I don't think they really need everybody in order to bind them over. I believe Sonia's reason Nesto has no bond on some charges and a high bond on others. That's from Sexy RE and CCRN. Okay, so let me look his case up real quick. Because look up Nesto since we're just sitting here waiting to see what happens next on this good block party situation. Let me see. Mm. Okay, no, no, that ain't it. I thought it was something new. Nope, it ain't nothing new on here. So, do you guys think though that he should still be trying to get bond?
All right, calling case number 250-551-860. This is the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Demetrius Taiwan Shaw, charged with counts 1 and 2 homicide, murder, and first degree premeditated. Counts 3 through 21. Assault with intent to murder. Counts 22 through 42. Weapons, felony, firearm. There are 42 charges in total. Again, counts 1 and 2, homicide, murder, and first degree premeditated. Counts 8 through 21, self-inflicted murder. And counts 22 through 42 are weapons, felony, firearm. Given that there are 42 charges, I will summarize, wrap them on one by one. I suspect we're going to be a lot of participants. Anyways, having said that this is the date and time set for the preliminary examination of this matter. Parties, please identify themselves for the record.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Natea Scott on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan. Key 78816.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Sherry Wyrick on behalf of the people, P77976.
And good afternoon, Your Honor, and to your staff. May it please the most honorable court, Mohammed Nasser, P74485, appearing on behalf and with Mr. Demetrius Shaw, who appears standing to my left. Sir, please state your full name for this honorable court.
Demetrius Shaw.
Good afternoon, all of you.
Mohammed,
Again, this is the date and time set for the preliminary examination of this matter. Are parties ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense is ready as well, Judge. I would ask, I noticed there's quite a lot of people in this courtroom, Judge, family members, certainly related to not only my client, but the decedents in this particular case. I would ask for a sequestration order of any and all testifying witnesses. I've also noticed that there's a lot of social media posting, Judge. I would ask this court to whomever is left in this courtroom to not post on social media.
Any
Judge.
objection?
The people have an objection with exceptions of the officer in charge of the case, who is behind me, and he can state his name for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Officer DeVille French.
All right. There will be a usual sequestration order for any witnesses, with the exception of the OIC.
Judge, I'm also asking for an exception for one of the decedent's mothers in this case, who's also in the courtroom. She is not testifying today. Jamira Young.
Any objection to that, Counsel?
Judge, will she be a possible witness when it proceeds to trial, or if it does proceed to trial?
Yes, for identification of the body.
For that limited purpose, we have no objection, Judge.
Let me make this one. So if I heard you correctly, Counsel, what you were asking is, obviously, your vote and press is here. We have a right to be here. What I think you were asking the public is no posting, obviously, of anything that's happening here today. Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking, Judge. There's been numerous social media postings, and certainly that has, an impact on my client and his safety while being incarcerated at the Wayne County Jail.
Oh, it's being recorded. What are you saying?
I don't have a problem with any such, Counsel, do you?
No, Your Honor.
So let me be clear for those of you who are here. Because this is a public courtroom, you have a right to attend. You do not necessarily have a right to post everything. Now, things can come out via the news, that is true. In the public, everyone reads the same thing. However, postings, because of the high profile of this case, some of your postings may cause an issue for both the prosecution as well as the defense. So for those of you who are here, I'm pretty confident you do not have your electronic devices out, but you should also refrain from posting anything from this, and you can discuss it all you want. That's the key. Do not prevent it from doing that. Posting is the issue. Particularly family members and friends. Again, I think that's a bigger concern. Family members and friends. I will also say this, just so that we're clear. We do have a number of people who are here. I'm assuming family members and friends that both sides. If you have observed something or heard something that may potentially cause you to be a witness on this case, you should leave the courtroom now. Let me say that again.
Well, my.
If you have observed something or heard something that may cause you to potentially become a witness, you should leave the courtroom now. Let the record, no one's left the courtroom after 9. I'm going to everyone who's here. Any other preliminary matter?
Yes, Your Honor. The first is that I recognize that the media is here. This case is an ongoing investigation. The police are still investigating this case to some degree. I'm asking that the witnesses who are going to testify specifically for the victims in this case, that their faces not be put on camera.
From defense, Judge, we certainly have no objection. However, I mean, the media has the right to be here, but I would concur with Sister Counsel's sentiments that if there's an ongoing investigation, that, you know, that having the media present could impact that. So I would join in her request to not have faces shown.
All right, so it's well settled that the media does have a right to be clear. Display information regarding this case to the public. All right, in terms of faces of respective witnesses who will testify today, we need to clear for the members of the press who are here, you are prohibited from showing the faces of any of the witnesses today, including police witnesses. That's just even across the board, given that this is a continuing investigation. While you may have something regarding testimony itself, I do not want to see any of the faces of these witnesses today shown in public settings. Okay? Thank you. All right, thank you. Anything further?
The next preliminary matter, Your Honor, the people would like to address is that we have a couple stipulations. For purposes of MCL 76711B, the medical examiner's reports for both of the deceased victims are admissible. With that came identification of each of the deceased victims. Rather than have the deceased testify, the victim's family testify who made that identification, the defense counsel has stipulated to the medical examiner's report and the identification. So I'm going to start with People's Exhibit 1. It is authorized by Dr. Omar Reyes from the medical examiner's office, who performed an autopsy on Miss Jordan Fletcher, Shanae Jordan Fletcher, apologies. The autopsy was conducted July 8, 2024, and Ms. Fletcher was pronounced dead July 2024. It is the opinion of Dr. Reyes that the death was caused by a gunshot wound to the head, and the manner of death is homicide. The people are asking to admit this, and again, defense has stipulated to this exhibit, which is People's Exhibit 1. People's Exhibit 1A is the identification face sheet, wherein Mr. Clyde Jackson made the identification at the medical examiner's office in order to allow the doctor to conduct that autopsy. The stipulation states that if Mr. Clyde were to testify, he would just testify on July 7th. He identified the body of his daughter, Shanae Fletcher. The people are asking to submit Exhibits 1 and 1A.
Which, for exam purposes, certainly defense has no objection to the same.
All right, so Exhibits 1 and Exhibit 1A shall not be admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. With regards to People's Exhibit 2, it is a postmortem report which was conducted by Dr. Lockman's son of the medical examiner's office. And this autopsy was performed on the body of Philip Michael Arnold Jr., who was pronounced dead July 7, 2024. The autopsy was completed on July 9, 2024, and it was the decision of this examiner that his opinion was that the death was caused by gunshot wound to the back, and the manner of death in this case is homicide. That's People's Exhibit 2. With regard to the identification, if Ms. Jamaris Young were to testify, she would testify on July 4th. She identified the body of Mr. Philip Arnold in order to give the medical examiner identification for the autopsy. That is People's Exhibit 2A. The people are asking to admit People's 2 and 2A.
Judge, again, for exam purposes, certainly we stipulate and have no objection to the same.
With that, exhibits, proposed exhibits 2 and 2A should now be admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, People's Exhibit 3 is a stipulation which incorporates the identifications of both Ms. Shanae Fletcher and Mr. Philip Arnold. And there is also another stipulation from the defense that the video that was recovered from the incident at 13860 Rossini is admissible. This video was recovered by Sergeant Clinner. If he were to testify, he would testify that the execution of the search warrant was done at that location and that there was a return. Defense is stipulating to the admission of the video taken from 13860 Rossini. That's People's Exhibit 3. I'm asking to admit that as well. And the video is People's Exhibit 4.
Judge, for exam purposes, certainly the prosecutor's already reached out to me. We certainly stipulate the same. Thank you.
Counsel, just so I'm clear, exhibit 3 was the ID as well as stipulation and the video itself is exhibit 4.
Exhibit 3 is the stipulation for the identifications of each of the decedents. It also includes the stipulation for the video taken from Rossini. So it's just a stipulation.
Both exhibit 3 and exhibit 4 should be admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach with the paper exhibits?
Amen.
And with that, the people are ready to call his first witness. Whenever the court is ready.
And he is the first witness.
Juwan Mitchell.
Who's the first one?
Before you take the stand, can you please raise your right hand, please, sir? The solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please have a seat. So before we get started, Mr. Mitchell, I'm just going to ask a few things. While you're testifying here today, please avoid any answers such as or shaking and nodding of your head. Because we need a verbal response. Both of them, they need to take out everything that you said. So again, we're going to need a verbal response. But during the course of the questioning today, you get a question you're not quite sure of, you don't understand, it's going to feel like it happens. Please let either me or the attorneys know how to rephrase the question so that you do understand. Lastly, if you can please, speak loudly and clearly, the microphones just to your left, that series of microphones that are over there, so that then my court can hear you and take down every one of your responses. Is that okay? Yes. Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Please state your name for the record.
Juwan Mitchell.
And Mr. Mitchell, did something happen to you on July 7, 2024 for which you're here to testify to today?
Yes.
Explain to the court what happened.
Gunshot wound to my left leg.
Let's back up a little bit. Where were you when you sustained this gunshot wound to your left leg?
In the middle of the street.
Okay. Were you, what street was that? Do you recall?
No.
Do you know where were you in terms of the city?
East side.
In terms of Detroit, where were you? Do you recall?
No.
You said you were somewhere on the east side. You don't recall any streets on the east side?
No, I'm not familiar with that area.
Okay. What were you doing when you got shot?
I was on the ground next to my cousin,
Okay. When you say Phil, who's that?
Philip. I don't know. I forgot his last name.
And what were you guys doing?
He was laying there, and by the time because I was laying face on my stomach, by the time I turned to my back, he was talking to me, and his last words was, "Cuz I love you." And that was it.
So let's back up a little bit. Do you recall what time you got to this street on the east side?
Say probably around 2 in the morning or 3 or something.
Why were you there?
Just there for a party.
So there was a party going on?
Yes,
Was the party outside or inside of a location?
outside.
Do you recall who you arrived to the party with?
No, I was by myself.
Okay. How did you find out about the party?
Cousin,
Your cousin?
yes.
Would that be Phil?
No, Jay Lynn,
Okay. So someone else told you about the party.
yes.
Was Jalen with you?
No.
Was
yes.
Phil with you?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to ask the place people Exhibit 4. I'm going to need the HDMI cord. I'm
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
need the HDMI cord. Oh, me or with me?
Oh, sorry.
Do you recall how long you were there before you were shot?
Probably like 2 minutes.
Did you hear anything before being shot?
No.
Do you know who shot you?
No.
Did you see where the shots were coming from?
In the driveway across from us.
Okay. Can you see the screen, Mr. Mitchell?
Yes, ma'am.
This is People's Exhibit 4. For the record, it's approximately 10 minutes for time purposes. I am not going to play the entire 10 minutes. I'm going to fast forward actually till about the 4:19 mark. And you've seen this video before, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you if you recognize yourself in this video. Do you see yourself in this video?
Yes.
I'm gonna pause it at 5:08. What just happened?
I got shot. Was on the ground right there at the bottom,
When you say right there at the bottom, which area are you talking about?
in the middle on the left side.
So, the left side of the screen?
Yes. Like towards the middle.
So, it looks like there's the. So, you're laying on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. What just happened prior to that?
Gunshots was coming at me to the ground and field. At that time, I was just taking cover. By the time I turned to my back,
And where was Field at?
field right there next to me.
So that would have been for this. Well, at that time, that's to your left. Would you say? But right now, he's left or right of you on the screen.
Right of me at the screen.
Okay. And you said the shots were coming from across the street. Which area were they coming from? I'll back it up a little bit.
Council, for purposes of the record, I didn't want to break your flow. Again, this has already been entered into evidence, so there's not an issue there, but I think to say clear the record, maybe a little bit of foundation of video, the date, time, where this is, kind of some of that. So again, if someone goes back to the transcript, you know exactly what we're referring to.
Understood, Your Honor. So for purposes of the exam, and like you said, the record, the video is dated July 4th, 2024. July 7th, 2024. Apologies. And it starts at 2:19:44 a.m. I fast forwarded to 4:19 of the video. That would have been (2:24:03 a.m.).
And for my counsel, again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, just for the sake of clarity. I don't know if you may have more videos, you may have different perspective. You might give us that, because I have no idea if there's several more videos. You can kind of give us a little bit of foundation for that as well. So again, if there are other videos or other questions, I want to know exactly what video. Again, it's exhibit 4, but a little bit more foundation.
So, Mr. Mitchell, does this look like the place that you were at right before you got shot in your lower left leg?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this the party that you said you attended approximately about you said maybe about 2 or 3 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what was happening while you guys were there?
Everybody was just there chilling, having a good time. Fight broke out, stuff on the left.
Where did the fight break out?
At the end of the driveway.
Okay. And then what happened next?
Next, everybody was running, got shot. That was it.
Well, let me ask you this. You said you saw the shots coming from across the street. Do you recall where that was?
Yes.
So for purpose of this video, where were the shots coming from?
Right side of the screen where that car at in the driveway.
So would that be the top left, top right, bottom right? Where exactly are you talking
Top
about?
right.
All right. Push and play for the record. You said shots rang out, and then what'd you do next?
Next, was taking cover, flipped to my back, taking cover again, trying to find a target. Wasn't no target inquired, so I didn't shoot.
Okay. So you said you were looking for a target. What does that mean?
Seeing like where's the people close up to us, but I realized by the time they get to run it back and hop on the fences, it was no point in shooting.
All right. So you saw which direction they went in.
Yes.
Okay. And which direction was that?
Top right screen.
All right. And when you say they were hopping the fences, where were they going?
Back towards the right, like towards the corner.
Okay. And you said you didn't see any. Were you armed?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, did you have a valid CPO?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you shoot that weapon at all?
No, ma'am.
And for the record, Your Honor, I was continuing the video. Is there anything else that you recognize about this video that you can recall? Mr. Mitchell, you recognize anything else about this video?
No, ma'am.
So as you guys are laying on the ground, what are you doing?
I was on my phone. I had my flashlight because my guns fell out my pocket. And I was picking them up. And when they picked me up, they was trying to put me in the car with the field. I guess there was too many people on the other side. 2 girls had to go to the hospital.
Okay. So I'm going to back up a little bit for the record. So when you say they were picking you up, is that, and this is at 2:26:20 a.m. Are you being picked up here?
Yes,
Okay. And then where you're being taken to?
the hospital.
All right. Which hospital was that?
On the east side, I think it's St. John Hospital.
Okay. And you said you weren't able to get into the vehicle with Theo, but you got into the vehicle with someone else?
Yes.
Do you know who you got into the vehicle with?
No, it was 2 females.
Okay. And they transported you to the hospital?
Yes.
What happened after that? Did you ever call 911?
No, ma'am. What happened when I got into the car, I was trying to unlock my phone, but
So besides you and Theo, was there anyone else at the scene at this time that you recognize?
my cousin Jay Lynn, a couple other friends, I know, and that's it.
Do you know Jalen's last name?
No, ma'am.
You know, just for the record, I'm letting the video play out in its entirety. Now, Mr. Mitchell, you stated that you heard shots ring out from across the street to the top right of the video. About how many shots did you hear?
Like 100.
Okay. And do you know which direction they were coming from? Were they all in that direction?
Yes.
And you said you had a weapon at the time, but you never discharged that weapon. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you had a valid concealed pistol license to carry that weapon.
Yes.
No further questions at this time.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court. Mr. Mitchell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know, and I'll try to rephrase in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You already testified that you were at a block party in the early hours of July 7th of 2024.
Yes.
Ultimately, you arrived there by yourself, right?
Yes.
And sister counsel, the fine prosecutor, indicated that you're a CPL holder and you had actually 3 guns on you, right?
4.
4 guns, okay. It was a Glock 40, a Glock 45, Micro Draco. What else was there?
Diamondback ARP.
ARP. Okay, got it. Now, you offered a statement to the police the same day of this incident, right?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that the incident was fresher in your mind back in July 7th of 2024 than it is today, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you stated in your statement that you were there about 20 minutes and some girls started fighting, that's a fair statement, right?
Yes.
So as opposed to what you said right now in terms of 2 minutes, 20 minutes is probably a more appropriate timeline, right?
Yes. It was 2 minutes when I got shot.
Oh, 2 minutes from you got shot. My apologies. Let me ask you this. Were you drinking or smoking?
No.
Okay. Looking at the video, there's quite a number of people at this party, right?
Yes.
Okay. Fair to say there's 50 to 100 people there?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay. And originally, on what we saw in the video is that there's 2 girls fighting it out, right?
Yes.
And everyone is kind of converging to this situation where these girls are fighting and the focus is on this particular girl's fight, right?
Objection, Your Honor, that would be speculation. He can't testify to what the focus was. And my objection is also vagueness. Who is he talking about as far as whose view was on this particular fight?
That's fair. Your focus was on this particular fight, right?
Sustained. Go ahead, you can rephrase your question.
My apologies, Judge. Your focus was on the particular girl fight that we saw on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Do you remember looking at the video?
Yes.
You remember seeing the girl fight that's what appears to be in the top right-hand corner of the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that when this fight is taking place, your focus is on this fight, right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And when this fight is taking place, are you on the right of the screen or the left of the screen?
The right of the screen.
The right of the screen. Okay. And it's that fight goes on for a period of time, right?
Yes.
And it's that point that you hear shots, right?
Yes.
Did you see it or did you hear it?
Hear it.
Okay. So does that mean that when the shots happened, your back would have been to that general area?
Yes.
Okay. So you can't see, all you know is, so you can't see the shots, right?
No.
Okay. You hear and you believe that it's coming from the top right-hand corner, right?
Yes.
Okay. However, it's loud at this party, right?
Yes.
Is there music being played?
No.
No music. Okay. However, is it fair to say that there's yelling and screaming associated with this fight that you're watching?
Yes.
Okay. Ultimately, a shot takes effect on you in your leg, right?
Yes.
As we see on the video, you drop, right?
Yes.
Again, you have no information as it relates to the shooter, correct?
No.
And you are making your best guess that it came from the top right corner, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Scratch that. One last one. Ultimately, you were transported to the hospital, right?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that your statements, this happened sometime around 2 or 2:30 in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, and your statement was made sometime around 5:31 that same morning, right?
Yes.
Was that statement made at the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, and the Detroit Police Department arrived at the scene to take a statement from you?
Yes.
Okay, were you already under treatment at that time?
No.
You were waiting to be treated?
Yes.
Okay, you were able to make it in. There was another individual that transported you to the hospital, right?
Yes.
Okay, you were able to make it there?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, thank you.
You correct?
Yes. Besides that fight that was going on and before you heard the shots fired, were there any other conflicts that were happening at that time?
No.
No further questions.
Anything further from the defense?
Not based upon that question, thank you, Judge.
There's nothing further from the Mitchell.
Nothing from the people.
Not from defense, we thank this honorable court.
Mr. Commissioner, thank you for your testimony today, sir. You may excuse.
Thank you, sir.
No.
That was very loud and dramatic.
Judge, at this time, the people call Starkeisha Charleston.
Starkeisha. I know it's Starkeisha. I wonder if that's the same one. Okay, I'm going back down, y'all.
Ms. Charleston, before you take the stand, I'd ask that you please raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Ms. Charleston, please have a seat. Ms. Charleston, before we go any further, I'm just going to ask you a couple of things of you. One, please try to avoid giving any answers such as or shaking and nodding of your head, because we need a verbal response so that my court over there can take down everything that you say.
Okay.
And during the course of the questions that you're going to hear today, you may hear a question that may confuse you or maybe you're not sure exactly what you're asking. That's okay, that happens. Please let me know or the lawyers know, and I'll have them rephrase so that you can ask them in a way that you can understand. And last, as you give me your answers, your responses to the questions, please speak loudly and clearly into that microphone that's just to your left or that set of microphones over there so that I can hear you and my court reporter can hear you. Is that okay? Okay, you have to speak up just a little bit. You sound like you have a soft voice like mine. Just talk a little bit louder into that microphone, okay?
Yes.
All right, there you go. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Please state your name again for the record.
Starkeisha Charleston.
And I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at around 2 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
Yes.
And were you in the area of 13860 Rossini in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes.
And what were you doing at that location?
At a block party.
Okay. And were you there with anyone?
Yes.
Who were you with?
Arlita, Charleston, Joya, and Shanique.
Okay. What is Joya's last name? If you know.
Livingston, I think.
Livingston? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you. And at some time, does something happen that brings you to court today? Did something
Yes.
happen to you?
The massive shooting. I got grazed in my head.
Okay. When you say you were grazed, what do you mean by that?
Like a bullet grazed
Okay. And where on your body?
on my head, on my left side right here.
And for the record, the witness is pointing to is that the top?
Yes, right here.
Is it the back or the front?
No, it's right here, like literally on the top right.
Okay. And at that time, were you with anyone?
Yes.
And who are you with?
Starlita and Shanique
Okay. And what is Shanique's last name?
Watkins.
Okay. And if you know, were either of them shot?
Yes.
Do you know where they were shot?
Not Shanique, but Starlita was shot in her back, and her arm, and I think it was twice in her back, and then her arm.
Okay. And then Shanique Watkins, she was shot as well?
Yes.
Okay. And at that location, about how long were you at that location?
No more than 5 minutes.
Do you know around what time you got there?
No.
Okay. And what's the first thing you remember happening?
We got out the car, we walked up to Shanique, and we started talking to her, and within that 5 minutes, gunshots went off.
Okay. If you know, about how many gunshots did you hear?
It was too many.
Okay, would you say more than 10?
Yeah.
More than 20?
I don't know.
You don't know? That's okay.
More than 10 though.
Okay. And At that time, did you have any guns?
No.
And did you fire back?
No.
Did you see anyone that you were with a gun?
No.
Were any of them firing?
No.
After you heard those shots, well, did you see where those shots were coming from?
No.
Okay. After you heard those shots and you saw that you were shot, what did you do?
We ran.
Okay. And at some point, do you go to a hospital?
Yes.
What hospital do you go to?
Same time.
And if you know, did Starletha go there as well?
Yes.
And did Shanique go there as well?
I don't know. No.
Okay, you're not sure?
She didn't go there.
No? Do you know where she went?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do you know if Shanique went to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. You just don't know which one?
Huh?
You just aren't sure which one?
No.
Okay. And when you said you started running, do you recall which direction you ran?
I just know we ran to the corner, the closest corner.
The closest corner?
Mhm.
Were you, when you heard the shots, were you in the street or were you in like a front?
I was in the street.
You were in the street. And do you recall if it would have been east or west? Or would that be north? Do you know where the park is in that area?
The park.
Okay. Judge, may I have just one moment?
You may.
Okay, Ms. Charleston, I'm just going to draw your attention to the screen.
Mhm.
This is People's Exhibit number 4. Do you recognize that area?
Yes.
Do you recognize that as the location you were
Yes.
at that day? Okay. And when you say you were in the street, is that the street that you were in?
Yes. I want to say behind the last white car right here.
Behind the last white car is on which side of the
Where it
screen?
say night owl. You see the half for the white car?
For the record, you're talking about the top right of the screen where it says night owl,
Yes.
okay? You
Um,
were, go ahead,
I want to say what was the next car behind them.
all right? So you were the next car behind that white car on the right of the screen?
Yes.
Thank you. And when those shots were fired, which direction did you run? Toward where
Towards
the,
the right.
so toward where the camera is showing or the opposite direction?
We went that way.
Okay, so for the
Towards
record,
the
the
right.
witness, go ahead.
Towards the right.
Okay, so toward the right, away from what the camera is showing right
Yes.
now. Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything else.
May it please the court?
Cross-examination.
Yes, please. Charleston, good afternoon. Charleston, I'm going to ask you some questions. And if you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to rephrase it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You've already testified that you were at a block party on or about July 7th of last year, correct?
Yes.
That you originally arrived at this party with a couple of friends, correct?
Yes.
That within moments of you arriving, there was some type of girl fight that you saw, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now you remember taking a look at that camera viewage and you pointed that you believe your vehicle was behind that half vehicle that was shown on the top right?
Yes.
Okay. Were you the driver of the vehicle?
No.
Okay. You were the passenger?
Backseat.
Backseat passenger? And who was the driver?
Yes.
Yes.
My apologies. Who was the driver?
My cousin was the driver.
Okay. And so you were able to observe this fight seated within the vehicle, or did you get out?
I was standing in the street.
You're standing in the street.
That I rode.
Okay. So if you were standing in the street, that means you're standing in the street outside of the purview of this camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
So you don't see yourself on the camera, right?
Right.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You heard 10 or more shots, right?
Right.
You don't know what direction they were coming from, correct?
No, sir.
You don't know who the shooter was, correct?
No, sir.
The only information that you have is that you heard shots, right?
Yes.
You testified that one of these shots took effect to your head, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it's the top left-hand portion of your
Yes.
head? Okay. Did you feel that shot or
Yes.
did you did? Okay. And what was your response to that shot?
I was running and most of us were shot, so I couldn't do nothing but still run.
Okay, so you were able to continue running prayerfully to whatever direction you were going.
Yes.
How long did you run eventually until coming to a stop?
Probably 2 minutes.
2 minutes. And at some period of time, did you return to the same vehicle that you arrived in?
Yes.
Okay. At some period of time, did you get back into that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. How many people got back into the vehicle?
Probably 5 of us.
5 of us. When you originally arrived, is it fair to say that 3 people were in the car? Or was there more?
It was 5 of us.
5 of us when you arrived and you were...
Rode back.
I'm so sorry?
The same people who rode back.
Okay, so of the 5 people, you were situated in the back seat, right?
Mhm.
So is
Yes.
that a yes? So there was 3 people in the back?
Yes.
Okay, at some period of time following this incident, so we know that you ran for about 2 minutes, right?
Yes.
At some period of time, you returned to the vehicle, right?
Yes.
How long was it from you running 2 minutes that you returned to the vehicle? If you know.
I don't know.
Okay, would it be more or less than 10 minutes?
It's less.
Less than 10 minutes. Okay. And at some period of time, you traveled to the hospital, right?
Yes.
Okay. You went in and got seen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At some period of time, were you examined at the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Did they release you the same day?
No.
Okay. How long did you stay?
Probably a day.
1 day. Okay. Did you receive any?
Yes.
My apologies. I know the natural disposition is to or aha, but for the court reporter, please. Did you undergo any surgery or anything along those lines?
No.
Okay. Were you given some type of stitches or something along those lines?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you arrived at the hospital, is it fair to say, sometime around 3 or 4 a.m. that same day?
I don't.
You don't recall? Do you recall making a statement to the police?
Yes.
And do you recall that it was the same day, right?
Yes.
Would you disagree with me if I said it was around 4:45 a.m. that morning?
I don't recall.
Okay. Would looking at your statement refresh your memory as to the time?
Huh?
You made a statement to the police, right?
Yes.
You had an opportunity to look at that statement and initial the statement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and there's also a signature and a time. Do you recall that?
Yes.
If I show you that statement, would it refresh your memory as it relates to the time of the statement?
Yes.
Okay, Judge, may I approach?
Nay.
I'll stipulate that the time was 5 a.m.
Okay, perfect. So you made a statement at 5 a.m., right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is that before or after you started getting treated?
That was after I got treated.
Okay.
Yes, that was after I got.
So they came into the hospital room where you were at?
Yes,
Okay. They could see the condition that you were in, correct? And when I say they, the police, correct?
yes,
Okay. Ultimately, knowing all of this, they still asked you some questions related to the incident, right?
yes,
You were able to understand what the officers were saying, correct?
yes,
And you were able to initial question and answers that were provided to you. Is that a fair statement?
yes.
Okay. Following being released that day, have you gone back to the hospital related to the incident?
No.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Right.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thanks.
Oh, no further questions. Thank you.
Johnson, thank you for your testimony today, ma'am. You are excused.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, next witness.
The people call Starletha Charleston.
All right, y'all. Now we have Starletha as the third witness. So far, nobody has seen the shooter's face.
All right, Ms. Johnson, before you take this statement, please raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. All right, ma'am, please have a seat. Ms. Johnson, before we proceed, I just want to ask a few things that while testifying today, please try to avoid giving answers such as I know it's very common when we tell people to do that, but my court reporter needs to take down everything that she says. So we need a verbal response. So nodding, shaking of the head will not be sufficient. Okay. All right. The other thing is, if you are asked a question today that you do not understand or you find confusing, that's okay. That happens. Just let either me or the attorneys know, and I'll have them rephrase it for you so you can understand. Okay. All right. And lastly, when you're answering, please make sure you speak loudly and clearly into that microphone just to the left of you so that my court reporter can hear you and take down your responses, okay? All right, thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Please say your name again for the record.
Starletha Charleston.
I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at approximately 2:30 a.m. Do you remember that date and that time?
Yes,
Were you in the area of 13860 Rossini in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
yes.
And what brought you to that area?
I met my cousins up there.
You met your cousins up there?
Yeah.
And what are your cousins' names?
Julia, Shani, and my little sister.
Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, please silence your phones or turn them off. Everyone, take a moment now. Make sure that your phone is either on vibrate only or off. I don't want to have the phone confiscated. I'm going to have her ask that question again so we can hear it.
May I
I'm sorry, counsel, please.
Thank
Repeat
you.
your question.
Thank you. You indicated you were with your cousins, is that correct?
Yes.
What are your cousins' names?
Julia, Daisy, Destiny, Shani, and Starkeisha.
Okay. For the record, we do need their last names. What is Joya's last name?
Livingston.
Okay. And what is Starletha's last name?
Starkeisha Charleston is my little sister.
Starkeisha.
Yeah.
And that's your sister?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated Shanique. What is her last name?
Watkins.
Okay. And while you were at that location, did something happen that brings you to court today?
Yes.
What happened?
A shooting.
Okay. And did something happen to you?
Yes.
What happened to you?
I got shot.
Where were you shot?
In my arm and two in my back.
And if you know, were any of your cousins shot as well?
No.
Was Shanique shot?
Yes.
Is that Shanique Watkins?
Yes.
And where was she shot, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And your sister, was your sister shot?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where?
Glazed in her head.
Okay. And at that time, did any of you have any guns?
No.
Okay. And did you see where the shots came from?
No.
About how long were you there before you heard the shots?
Like 2 minutes.
Okay. And where were you? Were you in the street? Were you in a
In
yard?
the middle of the street.
Okay. And what did you do when you heard the shots?
I ran because I got shot in my arm, so I ran to the corner.
Okay. And once you got to the corner, what happened?
My sister said she seen blood coming from too many places, so she took my jacket off and she said I was shot, 2 in my back and 1 in the side of my boob.
Okay. And did you go to the hospital?
Yes.
And what hospital did you go to?
St. John.
Were you treated for those injuries?
Yes.
Did you see where those shots came from?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, Ms. Charleston.
Yes.
Ms. Charleston, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know, and I'll try to rephrase it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
Ms. Charleston, I'm going to direct your attention back to July 7th of 2024. You remember that date, correct?
Yes.
That ultimately you and other individuals arrived at a block party, right?
Yes.
How many people were at this party, if you know?
It was a lot. I'm not sure the number.
Okay, but there was a number of people there, correct?
Yes.
All right. Was there music playing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I think it was. They was playing music in their cars.
Okay. Was it loud outside?
Not for real.
Okay. Were people drinking or smoking, or do you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. At some period of time, you arrived in a vehicle, right?
Yes.
And who was in the vehicle with you?
Me, Destiny, Daisy, and Amir.
Okay. And where were you situated within the vehicle?
The passenger front seat.
Front passenger?
Yes.
Okay. Who was the driver, please?
Daisy.
Okay. At some period of time, did you exit the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. You were on the street, correct?
Yes.
All right. What were you doing on the street?
Standing.
Standing? Okay. And did you notice a girl fight that took place?
Yes.
Okay. And from where you were standing, where was this fight? Was it in front of you, to the side of you? Where was it?
Front.
Right in the front. So you were looking right at it, correct?
Yes.
And how many people were fighting, if you recall?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Is it fair to say that there were a number of people surrounding the people that were fighting?
Yes.
Okay. And shortly thereafter, you heard some shots, right?
Yes.
Do you recall how many shots?
No.
Okay. You testified that some of these shots took effect on you, right?
Yes.
Okay. You don't know the shooter, correct?
No.
You don't know where the shots were coming from, correct?
No.
You don't know if there was multiple shooters, correct?
No.
Okay. All we do know is that there's a number of shots, right?
Yes.
Your primary focus upon hearing these shots is to protect yourself, right?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you start running when you hear these shots?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you don't know, or scratch that, when the shots took effect on you, did you feel it immediately?
Yes.
Okay. And where did the shot originally take place? Where did it effectuate your body? Where was the first
My
spot
left
that was hit?
arm.
Your left arm?
Mhm.
Was it? Is that a yes?
Yes.
My apologies. Was that at the back of your arm or the front of the arm? Or the side? Do you know?
Like down here.
On your forearm, is that
Yeah.
correct? And
Yes.
Is it the front or the back, or do you know?
And it went through the front, came out the back.
Went through the front, came out the back. Okay.
For the record, so real quick, ma'am, is that your right arm that you're touching?
The left.
Your left arm.
So it's the left forearm, correct?
Yes.
The lower area?
Yes.
Okay. And you also said you got shot in the back, correct?
Yes.
It's July, it's hot outside, right?
Yes. Kind of.
Kind of. You were wearing a jacket?
Yes.
Okay. And it's your testimony that you also got shot in the back, right?
Yes.
And this is something that you didn't originally know, you were advised that there was blood in the back, correct?
Right.
At some period of time, you removed your jacket and there was a determination made that there was blood, correct?
Yes.
Did at any period of time, did you lose consciousness?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay. Did you drop to the ground?
Yes.
Okay. Was this when you were able to run away?
Yes.
Okay. How far did you run?
To the corner.
Okay. And how long did that take?
I'm not sure.
Okay. At some period of time, you got back in the vehicle that you arrived in, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did somebody assist you in getting into the car, or were you able to make it yourself?
I made it myself.
Okay. And you sat in the same seat, which is the passenger seat?
Yes.
Okay. And you went to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your friend or family that took you to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
Did you go to the emergency room?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. At some period of time, you were seen by medical professionals, doctors and the like, correct?
Yes.
How long were you waiting when you went in?
Not long.
Okay.
I went straight to the back.
Went straight to the back. Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. At some period of time, did you offer a statement or did you make a statement to the police?
Yes.
Okay. And that was while you're at the hospital or after?
While I was there.
Okay. And was this statement made before or after treatment, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you recall looking at the statement?
Yes.
Do you recall signing the statement?
Yes.
Do you recall putting down the time that the statement was made?
No.
Okay. If I showed you the statement, would that refresh your memory as it relates to the time being made?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'll stipulate that it was made at 5:32 a.m.
Thank you so much. Okay. So you were getting treated sometime. Well, let's scratch this. We would agree that the shooting took place sometime around 2 or 2:30 in the morning, right?
Yes.
At some period of time shortly thereafter this incident, you arrived at the hospital, right?
Yes.
You already testified that you went in relatively quickly, correct?
Yes.
So while in the back in a room being treated, that's when the police approached you, correct?
I don't remember.
Oh. Okay. Do you remember speaking to the officers?
Yes.
Were you lucid at the time? Did you understand what they were saying?
Yes.
When you offered the statement, you're being truthful and honest, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How long did the officers remain in the back taking your statement, if you recall?
Remember.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were you admitted? Did you stay at the hospital?
Yes.
How long did you stay?
I think 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days. Ultimately, you were released at some period of time, right?
Yes.
Following this treatment, did you return to the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay. How many times?
Like 3 or 4 for a follow-up.
Okay. Were you given any medication at the time?
Yes.
Are you continuing on that medication?
Objection, relevance.
I'll move on. I'll move on, Judge. Okay. Now, again, you testified you never saw the shooter, right?
No.
Okay. And you testified to your knowledge no one in the vehicle had a firearm, right?
No.
Okay. That's to your knowledge, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
When counsel asked you a lot of questions about when you were first shot in your arm, do you recall when you were in the street which way you were facing?
Towards the corner.
Okay. Toward the corner that you ran to?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. So your left forearm would have been closest to, strike that. Nothing further.
Pretty shortly. You hear shots, it's fair to say that you're afraid, correct?
Yes.
You're in a panic, correct?
Yes.
Judge, objection, this is outside the scope of my questions.
Oh, she was asking about the forearm and the shot, Judge. I don't think it's outside of it at all.
You get inquire about where she was during the time of the shooting. I think it's fair ground. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
Okay. Based upon hearing the shots, again, your position is to flee, correct?
Yes.
You can't state with any specificity what area the shots were coming from, right?
No.
And you don't recall exactly when you were shot because you're in a frantic to leave, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing more, Judge. Thank you so much.
Johnson, thank you for your testimony, and you are excused. witness.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, the people called Diamond Cheatham.
Excuse me.
Go back to her first. Machine, before you take a seat, can you please raise your right hand to me, ma'am? You solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please have a seat. Machine, I'm gonna ask you please of you why you're testifying today. I know it's common when you talk to people, when we talk, you may say, that's common, sometimes shaking out our head, but you can't do that today because my court needs to take on anything that you say, so you need a verbal response. So please avoid those things. If you have questions from these attorneys today, or even me, that you don't understand, maybe you're a little confused about, that's totally okay. That's no problem, just let me or them know, and I'll have them rephrase the question for you, okay? And then last, when you're answering questions, please speak loudly and clearly into that microphone that's just to your left, again, so that my court can hear you and take any responses. Because since you have a soft voice like mine, which means you have to talk a little bit louder so that everyone can hear you. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Please, counsel.
Please state your name again for the record.
Diamond Cheatham.
And I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at approximately 2:20 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall being at a party on Rossini in the 1300 block in the
Yes.
city of Detroit?
Yes.
Okay. And would that have been right around July?
July 7th.
Okay. Of this year, of last year?
Yeah.
Okay. And did something happen on that day that brings you to court?
Got shot in the right leg.
Got shot in your right leg?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you see where those shots came from?
No.
Now, when you were shot, about how many gunshots did you hear?
It was so many, I don't remember.
Okay. Would you say more than 10?
More than 10.
Would you say more than 20?
Yeah.
Okay. And where were you when you heard those shots?
I was standing on the grass.
Standing on the grass. Do you know if you were standing did you see, strike that. Did you see a fight break out?
Your Honor, I object to
Yeah.
leading.
Okay. I'll rephrase the question.
Sustained. Rephrase.
Okay. At some point, did anything else draw your attention prior to the shots?
No.
Okay. And once the shots, you heard the shots, did you know right away that you were shot?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
I had to wait on the ambulance.
A little bit louder.
I had to wait on the ambulance.
Okay. And once the ambulance got there, what happened?
They put me on the truck.
Okay.
Took me to the hospital.
Do you know what hospital?
St. John's.
And did they treat you for those injuries?
Yes.
Okay. Who were you with at that party?
My friends.
Okay. And did you have any guns on you?
No.
Did your friends?
No.
Did you see any of them fire shots?
No.
Did you fire shots?
No.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know, and I'll try to rephrase it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
Obviously, you don't want to be here, right?
No.
Okay. You were at a block party sometime in July 7th of last year. That's fair, right?
Yes.
How long were you at the party before stuff broke out?
It was what, like hours. Like,
Hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this: was it loud outside?
It was music, so. Yeah.
So people were playing music, right?
Yeah.
People were drinking, right?
Yes.
People were smoking, right?
Yes.
Okay. And at some period of time, you heard shots. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you hear it or did you see it?
I heard it.
Okay. And you testified that you got shot in your right leg, right?
Right.
Let me ask you this: were you shot from the front, behind, to the side?
The side.
The side. Okay. So the right leg, was it the right side or the left side? If you know.
The right side.
The right side. Okay. You can't testify with any specificity where the shots came from, right?
No.
You don't know who the shooter was, right?
I'm not looking for no shooter.
Okay, because your attention is the shots that you hear and to get away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you able to run away at all?
As soon as I got shot, I fell to the ground.
Okay. Were you able to get up?
No.
Okay. Ultimately, you lied there until the ambulance arrived?
Yes.
Okay. You were transported to the hospital and ultimately treated, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall at some period of time the police came to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall providing a statement to the police at that period of time?
I don't remember. I was on medicine.
Okay. When the officers arrived, you were already medicated. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in the back getting treated, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
My apologies. I know the natural disposition is to do that. While you're being treated, the officers arrive, right?
Yes.
Okay. They ask you to make a statement as to what happened, right?
Yes.
Okay. However, you're being treated at this particular time, right?
Right.
Okay. Standing here today, you have no information related to the shooting, right?
No.
You have no idea who the shooter was or anything else, right?
No.
Okay. You're being truthful and honest, agreed?
Truthful.
Let me ask you this. When were you released from the hospital? If you know.
I was in there for like 4 days. So
Okay. Have you had any follow-up following being released?
Yes.
Okay. How many times?
I had a lot. So yeah.
Understood. You testified about getting into the ambulance, correct?
Right.
So you didn't lose consciousness. You remember this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Bring it back.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing more, Judge. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called DeAndre Coker.
All right, Coker, before you take the stand, can you please raise your right hand for me, sir? You sound this good. Any testimony you give today will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, please have a seat, Mr. Coker. If you like, you can your jacket. Make yourself at home. Find you comfortable. Mr. Coker, before we get started, I'm going to ask a couple things of you. Because I do have a court reporter over there who's taking down everything that you said. And because she's doing that, I need you to give a verbal response to all these questions you're about to answer. So that means please don't say anything like that. Or sometimes people shake and nod their head. Can't do that because she can't take that down. So again, I'm going to ask you to give a verbal response. Second thing, if there's anything that they ask that confuses you or you're not quite sure what they're asking, that's okay. Let me know and let them know, and I'll have them re-ask the question in a different way so that you can understand. Is that okay? All right. Last, I'm going to ask that you speak loudly and clearly into that microphone that is just to the left of you so that reporter can hear and take down everything you say. Because it sounds like you may be the soft-spoken like me. So I'm going to ask you to talk loudly and clearly, just as I just did, so that we can hear you. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Coker. Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please say your name again for the record.
DeAndre Coker Jr.
And I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024, approximately 2:20 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
Not for real.
Okay. Do you remember being at a party in the area of Rossini, the 1300 block
Yes, ma'am.
in the city of Detroit?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that this year or last year?
Last year.
Was it summer, winter?
Summertime.
Okay. And so if I said it was July 7, 2024, would you have any reason to disbelieve that?
No.
Okay. And while you were at this party, did something happen?
Yeah.
What happened?
I wasn't in there for 20 minutes. I was shot at the party.
Okay. You said you were there about 20 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And do you remember about what time you got there?
No.
And who were you there with?
Like 4 friends.
And you indicated that you were shot. Do you know where on your body?
I took a shot to my leg. I took a shot to the foot.
Okay. Would that be your left or right leg?
My right leg and my right foot.
And did you hear the shots or did you see where they were coming from?
I only heard them. I ain't seen nothing.
Okay. Once you heard the shots, what, if anything, did you do?
Sat near the car and just waited for a chance to get up and leave the scene.
Okay. Did you have any guns on you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did any of the people you were with?
No, ma'am.
Did you fire any guns?
No, ma'am.
Did you see them fire any guns?
No, ma'am.
Were you treated for your gunshot wounds?
Yes, ma'am.
And where were you treated?
Henry Ford Hospital.
And how did you get there, if you know?
One of the 4 friends took me there.
Okay. And do you know his name?
DeMonte.
Do you know his last name?
Cole.
What's the last name?
Cole.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Examination.
May I please report?
One answer.
Thank you. Mr. Coker, good afternoon.
What's going on?
How you doing today?
Fine.
Mr. Coker, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try to put it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty obvious you don't want to be here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Ultimately, there was a block party that happened on or about July 7th of last year, right?
Yeah.
You were at that party, right?
Yes.
There was a lot of people there, right?
A few.
A few? What do you define as a few?
I can't really remember. It was a few though. It was a lot.
Okay. So you said a few and a lot. Which one was it?
A lot of people.
A lot of people. Okay. People were drinking, right?
Out of my knowledge.
Okay. You didn't see that?
No.
Did you hear music playing at this time?
No.
Okay. Were people smoking? Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you this. At some period of time, you were shot, right?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing a fight between some girls prior to the shooting?
Yeah.
Okay. Where were you in location to this fight?
2 houses down and across the street.
2 houses down and across the street. Okay. So you're some distance away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You hear shots, right?
Yes.
Sometime after this fight begins is when you hear the shots. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know where the shots were coming from, do you?
No.
You don't know who the shooter was, do you?
No.
Okay. You did make a statement to the police as well, right?
No.
You did not?
No, sir.
So the police never came to the hospital?
That's out of my knowledge. When I was in the hospital, I was off a lot of drugs. So if it was a statement, I don't remember giving it verbally.
Okay. So you don't remember saying that there were people with guns around?
You didn't ask me that, but I do remember that.
Okay. So there were people with guns that you could see, right?
Yes, sir.
Not people that you know.
No, sir.
Okay. Were these people that you saw shooting, with guns, were they shooting?
No, sir.
Okay. But they had guns in their hands that you could see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You heard a number of shots that happened, right?
I'm not a number that I can give you, no.
Okay. But there was more than one, right?
Yes.
Okay. You testified that you were shot in your leg and your foot, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which leg and which foot?
My right leg and foot, sir.
Right leg and foot. Okay. And when this happened, do you remember being shot from the front, the back, the side, if you know?
No, sir.
Okay. When you heard these shots, what was your immediate response?
To sit down and just wait for the shots to slow down.
Okay. Perhaps this wasn't clear. You remember hearing shots before any shots actually hit you, correct?
No, the first shot I heard, I was hit.
Okay. First shot you heard, you were hit, and you sat down, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's when you noticed you were shot in the foot and the leg, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have your phone on you?
No, sir.
Okay. Did anyone call the ambulance or 911?
No.
Okay. You were with some people when this shooting occurred, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. How long were you seated before the ambulance and or the police arrived?
I didn't wait.
Okay. So at some period of time, you got up?
Yeah, and left and went to the hospital myself.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Were you able to get up on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you able to drive on your own?
No.
Okay. Someone else drove you?
Yeah.
Okay. But you...
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
I said yes.
Okay. My apologies. You drove to the hospital. Do you remember which hospital?
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford. Okay. And you got out of the car yourself, right?
No, I got out with help.
Help. Did you use a wheelchair?
No.
Okay. You walked into the emergency room?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. At some period of time you were seen, right?
Yes.
Were you waiting long before being seen?
Yeah.
You were? Okay. Do you remember how long?
No.
Okay. But you were seated in the emergency room area waiting to be treated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You provided truthful and honest testimony here today, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have no idea who the shooter was, right?
No.
Okay. You have no idea the direction of where the shooter may not have been, correct?
No.
You can't identify whether or not there was more than one shooter, can you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you so much. No further questions, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor. You indicated you do not want to be here. Why don't you want to be here?
There's a lot of other stuff I could be doing right now.
Okay. But you weren't threatened or promised or anything to be here today, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Nothing further.
No follow-up on that, Judge. Thank you so much.
All right. So based on that, Mr. Coker, there are no further questions for you. Thank you for your testimony, sir. You are excused.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The people called Chelsea Jackson.
just gonna ask you one thing for me, if you could. Would you please raise your right hand for me? You solemnly swear any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please have a seat. I'm just asking, knowing in usual everyday talk, most times many of us will say at some point in time. But you gotta avoid that today for this court proceeding, because my court reporter needs to take down everything you say. So she's over there in an all black outfit, listening intently to everything that you say. So please avoid those types of things, as well as maybe nodding or shaking your head. So again, I need a verbal response for every answer that you give. Also, if you're a question that's confusing or you're not quite sure what the attorneys are asking, please feel free to let me or the attorneys know how to rephrase it so that you do understand. And last, please speak loudly and clearly into that microphone that's just to your left, so that the court reporter and all of us here can hear you. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you, Ron. Good afternoon. Please state your name again for the record.
Chelsea Jackson.
I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at around 2:20 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
Yes.
Were you in that area of 13860 Rossini in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes.
And what was at that location? What was happening there?
A party
Okay. And was it inside or outside?
outside.
Who were you there with?
A friend.
What's your friend's name?
Nay.
And while you were there, did something happen that brings you to court today?
Yes.
What happened?
A shooting.
Okay. And did you see where those shots were coming from?
No.
Okay. So you heard the shots?
Yes.
How many shots did you hear?
Probably about over 100 shots.
Okay. And do you know where they were coming from?
No.
Where were you when you heard those shots?
Like on the sidewalk, by the grass.
Okay. And did something happen to you when you heard those shots?
Yes.
What happened to you?
I got shot in my leg.
Your left or your right leg?
My right.
And did you notice that right away?
Well, I fell to the ground. And then I noticed I couldn't get back up and walk.
Okay. What did you do next?
I had to crawl, get behind a bush, and I had to wait until the ambulance came to pick me up.
Okay. And why did you get behind a bush?
Just to protect myself because the shots were still going on.
Okay. And is it like a bush that would be by a house or like
Yeah.
on the sidewalk?
Right in front of the house.
Okay. Do you know which house the party was actually for?
I don't know the exact house.
Okay. The bushes that you hid behind, were they at that house that the party was at?
Possibly. I'm
You're not sure?
which house. Yes.
Okay. That's okay. Do you remember what you were wearing on that day?
Yes. On a yellow two-piece.
What do you mean by that?
A yellow jacket and shorts.
Okay. Okay. And at some point, do you get out from behind those bushes?
Yes.
And do you go to a hospital?
Yes.
What hospital did you go to?
St. John.
And how did you get there?
The ambulance.
Did you have any guns on that day?
No.
Anyone you were with have any guns that day?
No.
Did you fire any guns?
No.
Did you see anyone around you firing any guns?
No.
Did you notice anything before the shots rang out?
No.
Thank you.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, Ms. Jackson.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Jackson, I'm going to ask you some questions about July 7th of last year. If you don't understand, let me know and I'll try to put it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You testified that you were at a block party, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of people there, agreed?
Yes.
How many people, if you know?
I don't know.
Okay, would it
I'm
be
not
fair?
sure.
Okay, would it be fair to say it's more than 50?
Yes.
Okay, you were at this party for about 2 hours, right?
Yes.
It's at that period of time were you drinking?
Yes.
Were you smoking?
No.
Okay, were people around you drinking or smoking?
Yes.
Okay. Everyone is having a decent time at this particular time, I'm assuming. Well, let me scratch that. There was no hostility that you saw during this 2 hour period of time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. At some period of time, did you notice a girl fight that was taking place?
Yes.
Okay. Were you or any of your friends involved in this?
No.
Okay. At some period of time during this girl fight, you hear shots, right?
Yes.
And you said 100 shots. That's a guess of yours, correct?
Yes.
You don't know how many shots there were you?
No.
Do you know whether or not there was one or multiple shooters?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, the questioning of the fine prosecutor is like, did you or any of your friends have firearms, correct?
Yes.
Is that correct? You remember that? Did you see anyone else with guns? Maybe not people that were friends of yours?
No.
Okay. It's fair to say that your attention was to protect yourself. Agreed?
Yes.
So when you heard the shots, your desire was to run, right?
Yes.
However, it's your testimony here today that after hearing these shots, you dropped, right?
Yes.
And at that time, you didn't know why you dropped. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. And you continued hearing shots while you're on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. And when you got shot, you said you got shot in your right leg?
Yes.
Okay. Did the shot take effect from the front of your leg, the back of your leg, the side of your leg, if you know?
The front of my leg.
The front of your leg?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the upper part of your leg or the lower part of your leg?
The upper right above my knee.
Above your knee?
Right above my knee.
Okay. So that's what caused you to drop, right?
Yes.
Okay. You never saw who the shooter was, correct?
No.
You only heard shots. You never seen anything related to the shooting. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. At some period of time, you remained on the floor until the ambulance arrived, correct?
Yes.
Did you have your cell phone with you?
No.
Okay. How long were you on the ground until you got up?
I'm not sure. I actually got carried into the house.
Got carried into the house.
Yeah.
So let's scratch that for a second. Do you remember testifying about hiding behind some bush?
Yes.
Okay. Did somebody carry you to the bush or did you crawl to the
No,
bush?
I crawled to the bush. That's
Okay.
why I dropped to the ground.
Okay. How far is the bush from where you got shot?
Not far. Probably like 4 crawls.
I'm sorry?
Not far. Probably like 4 crawls that I had to do to get
Four-
to the bush.
4 crawls to get to the
Yeah.
bush. Okay. And you remained by the bush area for a period of time, right?
Yes.
Okay. At some period of time, the shot stopped, right?
Yes.
Is that when you got up or you were carried?
Somebody from the porch, yes, they carried me
Okay.
from behind the bush.
Was it multiple people or was it one person that
One
carried you?
person,
Okay. Male or female?
male,
Do you know that person?
no,
Okay. And you were carried where?
inside of a house.
Okay. And while inside of this house, did you call 911?
I didn't have my phone, so no.
Okay. Did anyone call 911 if you recall?
I'm not sure.
Okay. At some period of time, you made your way. Well, scratch that. At some period of time, you made it to the hospital, right?
Yes,
How did you get to the hospital? Were you transported by ambulance or did you make it on your own?
the ambulance.
Okay. How long did the ambulance take to arrive when you were situated or inside of this house, if you know?
I'm not sure, probably like 3 minutes, 4 minutes.
Okay. Short period of time, right?
Yes.
Okay. How did they know to arrive into the house?
I'm pretty sure somebody called the police.
Okay. When you made it inside of the house, was the door open or closed?
When they brought me inside the house,
Yeah.
open, I believe. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
So you made your way inside of the house. Did the door remain open?
I don't think so.
Okay. You were carried out by the ambulance or the EMS?
Yes,
Okay. You made your way to the hospital, correct?
correct.
All right, let me ask you this. At some period of time, were you treated at the hospital?
Yes,
Do you recall making a statement to the police?
yes.
Okay. And did you, I'm so sorry?
I say yes.
Okay. During that period of time, or when you made that statement, you're at the hospital, right?
Yes,
It was the same late hours or early, well, I should say early morning when this incident happened is when you made your statement to the police, correct?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. When you made your statement to the police, had you already received treatment, or were you waiting to receive treatment, or in the alternative, was it during your treatment?
I was waiting to receive treatment.
Okay, so you were in the waiting room, correct?
No, I was in the room. But I didn't go into surgery yet.
Okay, so you were waiting to be seen by the medical professionals, correct?
Yes.
And that's when the officers came in, right?
Yes.
And that's when you made your statement, right?
Yes.
You're being truthful and honest when you stated that you had no idea who the shooter was, right?
Yes.
You made the statement and then you received treatment, right?
Yes.
When were you discharged from the hospital?
Probably about 3 days later.
3 days later. Have you been back since that time?
Yes.
Okay, for follow-ups?
Follow-ups, yes.
Okay. Did you drive yourself to this party or were you with somebody?
I was with someone.
Is that Nay?
Yes.
Okay. The person that you make mention of in your statement, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Right.
Thank you, Judge. What is Nay's full name, if you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And did you know anyone else that got shot on that day?
Yes.
Who?
Mariah.
What's Mariah's last name?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you know where she was shot?
On her leg.
Council asked about some girls that were fighting at the party. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And where were you in relation to where the girls were fighting?
I was towards the grass when they fought, like by the sidewalk. So I was a little bit close to it, but I was by the grass area. So
Okay.
not too close.
All right. And were when the shots came out, did you crawl toward where the girls were fighting or away from where the girls were fighting?
When the shots went off, I ran away and fell, so I was crawling away from where they fought.
Okay. Would that be to the left or the right of where they were fighting?
To the right, I believe.
Okay. And that's if you're facing them, right? So you're facing them from the sidewalk, correct?
Yes. So I went to the right.
Okay. I don't have anything further.
Nothing in response to the prosecutor's question, Judge.
Jackson, it appears that there are no further questions for you, so I thank you for your testimony. You're excused.
So far, nobody has seen who the shooter is, but I would surmise if they warrant was,
Your Honor, at this time, the people called Shantia McGowan.
they had something going on. They had some information. It's not from these witnesses, so we shall see. I have no clue why they're calling all these witnesses.
My apologies, Your Honor. The people will call.
Maybe because they have a whim, assault with intent to unalive,
Dara Orr.
so they're showing their injuries. Maybe that was why, because it's like 40-something counts or something. The judge said. They have to justify each count. If they don't justify each count, then it can be a dismissal even if it's only of those counts. So I guess they have to. Doesn't look like the defense only stipulated to the deceased, that the deceased were, they entered the autopsy report and they stipulated to the identification who the deceased was. So all of these are probably going to be about all the individuals claiming injuries because they all have their own counts.
Some testimony you get today, you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. Please have a seat. All right, Mr. Moore, while you're testifying today, I'm going to ask you to avoid giving responses that include or not even shaking your head, because that over there in our office, my court reporter, she has to take out everything that you said. For that reason, we need a verbal response from you. Secondly, while testifying today, if you encounter or hear a question that you're not sure of and you're confused by, that's perfectly fine, that has happened. Please let me or the attorneys know, and they can rephrase the question so that you do understand. Okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Lastly, while you're testifying today, if you can please respond with a loud and clear response to that microphone that is just to your left, so that my court reporter can hear you and take down your response. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Counsel, please proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Please state your name again for the record.
Dara Order.
I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at around 2:20 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
Yes.
Were you at 13860 Rossini in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes.
And what brought you to that location?
A party.
Okay. And was the party inside or outside?
Outside.
While you were at that party, did something happen that brings you to court today?
Yes.
What happened?
A shooting.
Okay. Did you see where the shooting came from?
No.
Did you hear the shooting?
Yes.
How many shots did you hear?
Over 20.
Okay. And did something happen to you?
Yes.
What happened to you?
I was shot in my right arm.
Okay. And what happened when you heard those shots and you were shot in the arm?
What you mean, like?
What did
I do?
Yeah.
I ran.
Okay. In what direction did you run?
Straight.
Okay. Where were you located when you were shot?
I was in front of a car on like the right hand side
Okay.
of the street, the right hand side of the street in front of a car.
Okay. Do you remember what color that car was?
No.
Okay. And after you were shot, what did you do?
I ran.
In what
front of a car,
direction?
Straight.
Okay. In the street or toward a house or which?
It was more so like towards the curb.
Okay, toward the curb?
Yeah, like the grass, the curb, but it wasn't towards no one house.
Okay.
I was running to get in front of another car.
Okay. And why were you doing that?
Because the area I was in, it was too open, so I was trying to like take cover.
Okay. And did you have any weapons on you?
No.
Okay. And who were you there with?
My friend.
What is your friend's name?
Michaela.
Do you know anyone else that was shot at that location?
I don't know her personally, but yes.
Okay. And who is that?
Najee.
Najee Duffy?
Yes.
And how do you know Najee Duffy?
Social media.
Okay. And how do you know that she was shot?
I saw her in the hospital.
Okay. Do you know where she was shot?
Not sure.
Okay. And what hospital was that?
St. John on Ross.
And how did you get to St. John?
One of my friends took me to the hospital.
Okay. Was that Michaela?
Yes, and her friend.
All right. Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Cross-examination. Hold on, man. You're not done yet.
Oh,
Not quite yet.
sorry. It's okay.
May it please the court.
And please.
Good afternoon, Ms. Orr.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Orr, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please let me know and I'll try to put it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You already testified that you were at a block party on or about July 7th of last year, right?
Yes.
You arrived at this party, I think sometime around 11 p.m. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no, I left the house around 11.
Okay. Your house.
Yeah.
Okay. And how far do you live from this block party?
About 30 minutes or so.
Okay. So it's fair to say around maybe 11:30 or so you arrived at this party?
Yes.
You're there a couple hours before the shooting takes place. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot of people at this block party, right?
Yes.
It's fair to say the street's filled with guys, girls, whatever have you, right?
Yes.
You testified that you were, well, scratch that. You were there with Michaela, right?
Michaela.
My apologies. You were there with Michaela, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You noticed a fight that broke out between some girls. Do you remember that?
I didn't see a fight.
You didn't see a fight at all?
I didn't know it was a fight until I was told.
Okay, that's fair. So let's just go on what you saw or what you heard. At some period of time, you heard some shots, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you made a statement to the police as well, right?
Yes.
And that statement was made when you were at the hospital, agreed?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that the statement made to the police at that time was fresher in your mind than it is today, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you told the cops you heard about 5 shots, right?
Yes.
Okay. You testified that you were shot in your, is that right arm?
Yes.
Okay. Was it the upper portion, the lower portion?
Lower.
Lower portion, like the forearm area, is that fair?
Yeah, like right here.
Okay. And for the record, you're showing between your wrist and where the elbow is, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
For the record of the right arm, is that correct?
Right arm.
Yes.
Okay. You were shot once, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when the shot took effect, well, let me scratch that. The first thing you recall is hearing shots or being shot?
Hearing shots.
Okay. And after hearing the shots, your immediate response was to run away, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there's a lot of people around you also running away, right? Or
Yes.
scattering around. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And it's after that you notice that your arm takes effect, the right arm, right?
After what?
After you start to run.
Yes.
Okay. You can't testify from where the shot came from, right?
No.
You can't testify whether or not there was multiple shooters, can you?
I didn't see them, but clearly it wasn't just one shooter.
Okay, so there was, in your estimation, based upon what you observed, there's multiple shooters, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. And when the shot takes effect on you, do you immediately drop or do you continue to run?
Drop.
Drop, okay. And at some period of time, you're trying to hide behind cars, correct?
Yes.
And that was designed to make sure that if the shots continue, at least you're protected by these vehicles. Agreed?
Yes.
At some period of time, did you get up from your location and go elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay. And that's after the shots happened?
Yes, that was after I was shot.
After you were shot, where did you go?
I got up and ran in between the side of the house and I hopped the gate.
You hopped the gate.
Yes.
Okay. And you did that on your own, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you stayed, so you were in the backyard of the house, is that fair, or the front yard?
The backyard. So I hopped the backyard gate.
Okay, you hopped the backyard gate and you remained in that backyard for a period of time?
I didn't stay in that backyard. Like I ran further towards somewhere else.
Makes sense. So you were fleeing away. So you jumped one fence, maybe jumped a couple others, right?
Only one fence.
One fence, okay. At some period of time, did you, you said your friend is Michaela?
Yes.
At some period of time, did you reconnect with Michaela?
She was always with me. Before I ran, I took her with me. So I had her follow me.
Okay, so you two ran, right?
Yes.
After running, at some period of time, did you return to the area where your car was or whomever car you were there with?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you drive yourself or did you ride with somebody?
I drove myself there.
Okay, however, in order to go to the hospital, you drove with your friend, correct?
Yes.
Was it in her car or your car?
It was in her friend's car.
Her friend's car. Okay, so you were in the vehicle and your friend drove you to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
Did that friend of yours also enter the hospital and wait for you?
No, she didn't go inside.
Okay, it was only you.
Yes.
Okay. That's when the police arrived to take a statement from you. Is that fair?
A little bit after.
Okay. So let me ask you this. When you arrived to the hospital, you said you saw somebody else there as well, right? Do you remember the prosecutor asking whether or not other people were shot? Do you remember that?
Who's the prosecutor?
I'm sorry. This fine woman right over here. Do you remember her asking?
You came and talked to me in the hospital?
No. The question is, do you remember her asking you questions just a few minutes ago about whether or not other people were shot? Do you remember that? And you said you met somebody at the hospital?
I think he's mischaracterizing the testimony and it's confusing the witness.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Here, hold on, counsel. So I haven't quite heard an objection, but I think for purposes of clarity, why don't you rephrase your question so that the witness understands what you're asking? I think I understand what you're trying to get to. I think you may be mixing a couple of things, and I think it's still in the witness on.
Okay. You were in the waiting room at the hospital for a period of time, correct?
I was in the back room, not the waiting room.
Okay. So you arrive at the hospital in the emergency room and you check in, right?
I don't get checked in.
You don't get checked in. Okay. So you go from you arrive at the hospital and immediately go to the back. Is that correct?
Yes, they put me in a wheelchair and put me in the back room.
While at the hospital, did you interact with any other people that were shot?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the question the prosecutor asked you about whether or not you knew if someone else was shot, right? And you said that you know them through social media. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Did that social media connection happen prior to the shooting or after the shooting?
Before.
Before. Okay. When the police came and talked to you, you were already in the back room, right?
I was in my room.
Your room.
Yeah, at that point.
At the hospital, the police came in. Did the treatment already begin on you, or was treatment to begin on you?
Probably before.
Okay. But you remember being able to speak to the officers, correct?
Yes.
You remember understanding the questions that they asked, agreed?
Yes.
You also remember not being able to sign a statement because you're right-handed, right?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you in the hospital, please?
I probably checked out maybe 4 o'clock the next day, maybe.
Okay. So is it fair to say you arrived sometime around 5 a.m.? Is that fair?
No, before 5 a.m., around maybe 3:34ish at the latest.
Okay, 3:34ish. And then you talked to the officers and you got treated and you were let out sometime is it PM or AM the next day?
PM.
PM so it wouldn't be the 7th, it would be the 8th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Have you been back to the hospital since that time?
Yes.
Okay, for follow-up treatments?
Yes.
Okay, do you continue to go to the hospital now?
I haven't been recently.
Okay. Did you ever attempt to call 911?
Yes.
Okay, did you call? Were you able to make the call?
Yes.
Okay. When you left the location and headed to the hospital with your friend, were the police already on scene?
No.
No. All right. Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Redirect.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Nothing further from the defense.
Not from defense. We thank this honorable court.
So thank you for your testimony, and you are excused.
Thank you.
The people called Mariah Ruffin. I'll see the court reporter right there.
Private Ruffin, before you take a seat, can you please raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. If you'd like to, feel free to take off your jacket if you like. You don't have to. Ms. Ruffin, what this president, just ask that you she's trying not to give answers such as or not even shaking of your head. There's my corporate court over there in all black. It's taking down all of your responses. And we need a verbal response, okay?
Okay.
Second thing I'm going to ask of you is that if you hear a question that you find confusing or you're not sure what in the world you're asking, that is perfectly fine, that happens. Just let me or them know, and I can have a rephrase to understand the question you're asking or what information you're seeking. Last, I'm going to ask that you please speak loudly and clearly so that my microphone is just to your left. The one that's a little bit higher than the others,
Okay.
so that we can hear you. And you can please speak loudly and clearly into that microphone, okay?
Okay.
Council, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your name again for the record.
Mariah Russian.
I'm going to draw your attention back to July 7, 2024 at around 10:20 a.m. Do you remember that day and that time?
Yes.
Were you in the area of 13860 Rossini in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes.
And what was at that location?
Say it again.
What was happening there?
It was a block party.
Okay. And how did you find out about the party?
It was a friend.
Okay. And do you remember who that friend was?
No, it was a couple people.
Okay. And how did you receive information about the party?
It was posted on Instagram.
Okay. When you say it, what do you mean?
It was a flyer.
Okay. So there's a flyer for the party, correct?
Yes.
And then you went to that location. Who did you go with?
My sister,
What's your sister's name?
Darnaya.
And when you got there, do you know about what time you got there?
Probably I'd say about 2, almost 3.
Okay. And how long were you there?
Not even an hour.
Okay. And did something happen that brings you to court today?
Yes.
What happened?
The block party got shot up.
Okay. And did something happen to you?
Yes.
What happened to you?
I was shot in my right leg.
Okay. And where were you when you were shot in your right leg?
I was like near the concrete. The sidewalk. I'm saying the sidewalk. I was like kind of near the sidewalk, not really by it, but like near.
Okay. Do you did you notice anything else happening around you before the shots?
A fight.
Okay. And where in location to where you were standing was the fight?
But it was like I could say I was like where you were standing at, and I was like a little up close to the fight.
Okay.
So it was like the street, then a little grass, and then the sidewalk. So it was like right there in the grass.
Okay. And if you're looking at the fight, are there cars behind you or is there a house behind you?
Cars in the house.
Okay. And when you heard the shots, what did you do?
I ran
Okay. Which direction did you run?
straight.
Okay. When you say straight, do you mean like down the street or toward a house or in the yard?
It was towards the house, but in the yard.
Okay. And then what did you do?
I crawled to a bush, and I was laying in the bush.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Because I didn't know I was shot, but it was gunshots going on, so I didn't want to run. And that happened, but I didn't know I was already shot. So
Okay.
I was coming to the bush.
All right. And at what point do you realize that you're shot?
Once I was laying in the bush for like 2 minutes, and I scratched my leg, and there was blood on my hand.
What did you do?
After I noticed that I was shot, it was somebody that I knew, and I started calling their name, and they came and they helped me, and they tried to pick me up.
Okay. And what did that individual, do you know that person's name?
You can just say Jay.
Jay?
Yes.
And when he picked you up, what did he do?
He was trying to help me get to my car, but I didn't have my car keys or my phone. So he had to flag somebody down for them to give me a ride to the hospital.
Okay. Did you go to the hospital?
Yes.
And what hospital did you go to?
St. John.
Did anyone else that you know get shot on that day
Yes.
at that location? And who was that?
Chelsea, this girl named Shantia, and this girl named I Love.
Okay. Do you know I Love's last name?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you know Shantia's last name?
No, I don't.
Do you know Chelsea's last name?
Jackson.
When you were at the party, did you have any weapons on you?
No.
And did you fire any weapons?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ruffin.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know, and I'll try to rephrase it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You already testified that you were at a block party on or about July 7th of last year, correct?
Yes.
That you were at the party for about an hour or so, or maybe less than an hour, and then an incident occurred, correct?
Yes.
You were with a couple of friends, correct?
Yes.
Were you guys drinking?
Yes.
Were you guys smoking?
No.
Okay. How many people were at this party?
Probably a little over 30 people.
Okay. It's fair to say that there's, well, at least 30 people, a little over 30 people. So there's a lot of people on the street. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. This party kind of extended beyond just a singular house. It was, essentially the entire block, correct?
No.
How far did it go?
Probably like the house everybody was in front of, and then probably like the next door and the next door, like in between 3 houses.
Okay.
Not even that.
Not even that. Okay. Was it loud outside?
No.
Okay. People were not playing music?
I mean, music was playing, but it wasn't loud to where you couldn't hear it.
Okay. You testified that there was a fight that took place, correct?
Yes.
And was it a girl fight?
Yes. It
Okay.
was.
Did you know did you know of any of the individuals involved in this fight?
I don't know them, but I know of them.
Okay. Do you have any names or nicknames or anything like that?
No.
Okay. But you know of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you know of them based upon perhaps social media or where you live?
Social media.
Okay. How long did this fight last, if you recall?
About 5 minutes.
Okay. And when this fight is taking place, you testified earlier that you're relatively close to the fight. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And by being close to the fight, are you on the street somewhere or are you closer to the house?
I say like at the end of the driveway.
At the end of the driveway. Okay. So you're looking at the fight. So you're looking directly ahead. Are you looking to the left or are you looking to the right?
I'm looking at the fight, but I'm also like looking at other places.
Okay. It's fair to say that when this fight breaks out, there's a lot of people that kind of rush around it, correct?
Right.
Okay. And you're looking at this fight, and this fight is in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. However, you're also looking around at other places, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at some period of time after this fight is when you hear gunshots. Is that fair?
No, during the fight.
During the fight, you hear gunshots.
Yes.
Okay. What happens when you hear these gunshots?
I ran.
Okay. And when you run, are you running to the left, to the right, in front, or behind?
I ran straight forward.
Straight forward. So are you running towards the fight or away from the fight?
Well, where the fight was happening at, the girls that was fighting, it was like, I didn't run towards the fight, but the girls they was fighting, and they ran also. And so it was like everybody was running every which way, so it wasn't like, it was just.
Understood. So when this fight happened, everyone started running. When these shots happened, everyone started running, correct?
Yes.
So the actual people that were fighting also started running, correct?
Yes.
And you ran in the direction of where this fight was previously, but these people had left because they heard because of the shots, right?
Right.
Okay, let me ask you this. Now, do you recall how many shots you heard?
A lot. It was a lot of shots.
Okay, do you know whether or not there was one shooter or multiple shooters?
Multiple.
Okay, did you see, while you yourself didn't have any guns, did you see people with guns?
No.
Okay. However, your attention was upon getting away from this situation, correct?
Yes.
You weren't really focused on people around you. You're trying to self-preservation, correct?
Right.
Okay, and you said that you didn't actually realize you were shot until you scratched your leg, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and how far did you run until you scratched your leg?
I say I ran to like the middle of the grass and I fell in the middle of the grass and I started crawling to the bush.
Okay, and did you get to the bush?
Yes, I did.
Okay, was there anyone else at the bush?
Say it again.
Was there anybody else at this bush?
It was people standing on the side of the bush.
Okay. How long were you at the bush until you moved?
I was probably in the bush for like 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes, because I needed help.
Okay, and that's when you said, Jay arrived, or you were screaming for this friend of yours, Jay, right?
Yeah, he was in the middle of the grass and I was yelling his name.
Okay, at some period of time, Jay was trying to assist you to your car, right?
Yes.
But you didn't have your key, you said, right?
Right.
When you arrived at this location, did you drive yourself?
No, my sister was driving my car.
Your sister was driving your car. So you arrived at this location with your sister?
Yes, we was in the same car, but she was driving for me.
Okay. Was it just you and your sister, or were there other people in the car?
It was other people, like, it was my friend Zaria and it was my sister Angel.
Okay, so you had 4 people in the car?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did you have your cell phone on you at the time?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did Jay call 911 for you?
No, he did not.
Okay, so at some period of time you said he flagged down a vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Do you know whose vehicle he flagged down?
I don't know. I forgot his name, but it's the boy I went to high school with.
So somebody that you know.
Yes.
And that person was kind enough to drive you to the hospital, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you remember making a statement to the police?
I remember, but I don't really remember.
Okay, that's because you were just shot, right?
Right.
Okay. At any period of time, did you lose consciousness when you were by the bush?
No.
Okay. When you got to the hospital, you were immediately taken to the back?
Yes.
Okay. And it's during this period of time in the back that the police arrived. Is that fair? If you recall.
No.
Okay. No, you don't recall, or no, that's not accurate?
I don't recall.
Okay, that's fair. Is it fair to say that the police arrived the same early morning hours, though, of the incident?
Yes.
Okay. And when you told them you don't know who the shooter is, that's correct, right?
Right.
Shooter or shooters, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You don't know what direction the bullets were coming from, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All you know is you were shot and you received treatment. Agreed?
Right.
Let me ask you this. How long were you at the hospital?
Probably for about, I could say I got there maybe 2 something going on 3, so I was there probably till like 6, 7 in the morning.
Okay. And ultimately, at some period of time, you were released, right?
I wouldn't say I was released. I wanted to go to a different hospital.
Okay.
So,
Did you leave St. John's?
yes, I did.
And did you go to another hospital?
Yes, I did.
Which one did you go to, please?
Beaumont.
Beaumont. And that was sometime after 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. Is that fair?
It was probably afternoon, like
Okay.
1, 2 o'clock.
Okay. Did you go directly from St. John's to Beaumont, or did you go home?
I went from St. John to Beaumont.
Okay. And how long were you at Beaumont?
Probably like to 12 a.m., 1 a.m.
The same day, right? Like this incident happened maybe around 2 or 3 o'clock. You left there somewhere around 6 or 7 a.m. and then you stayed at Beaumont until about.
I didn't leave St. John at 6 or 7 a.m. I left around like 1 p.m. or something like that, and I was at Beaumont till like 12 a.m.
Okay. Understood. Now, do you recall whether or not the police arrived to Beaumont, or were they at St. John's? If you know. St. John's. Okay. don't know if I asked, but maybe I did. Did you recall how many shots you heard?
I say really about over 100. I'm not gonna lie.
Over 100 shots.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Indirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. You indicated that you were watching the fight. While you were watching the fight, did anyone in the fight fire any shots?
No.
And did you see anyone else around you fire any shots before you heard the shots?
No.
I don't have anything further.
Very briefly.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. You testified that you were looking at the fight, but also looking in other directions as well, correct?
Right.
So you can't state with specificity whether or not someone within the fight carried shots. You don't know, right?
I know for a fact nobody in that crowd shot. Because
Okay.
people that was in that crowd got shot.
Okay. Right. No further questions. Thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No more questions for you, Ms. Barker. Thank you, excuse you. Thank you for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Thank you. The people call Police Officer Daniel Havern, Havern, Havern.
Yes. In addition to this,
Four, no, three. Three in addition.
oh, it's okay.
I have one that's not here. He's not here for time.
Oh, okay. Including this. You can step up.
All right, please raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please answer. Yes, can you give me your name and title one more time?
Officer Daniel Hammer.
Officer Hammond. While testifying today, I'm going to ask that you please refrain from giving any answers such as nodding or shaking your head, so that my co-reporter can take on everything that you say. If you have a question that confuses you, please let me put the attorneys know, and I'll make sure that they rephrase it. And lastly, please speak loudly and clearly into that microphone just to your left. Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record.
Daniel Havern,
And how are you employed?
City Detroit Police Department,
And where are you currently assigned?
the 9th Precinct.
Were you assigned in that capacity on July 7, 2024?
Yes.
And did your duties take you to 13860 Rossini Drive in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
Yes.
And what brought you to that location?
We were dispatched a police run, multiple police runs for gunshot wounds and shootings.
Okay. And upon arrival, what, if anything, did you observe?
I observed some individuals leaving the scene, and I observed a female laying in the street, bleeding from her head.
All right. And did you approach that individual?
Yes.
Did you make any observations?
Yes.
What did you observe?
The female was not breathing. She was bleeding from her head. I did feel for a pulse, and there was no pulse.
Okay. And were you able to identify who that individual was?
Personally, I was not, but Michigan State Police made the scene and identified her.
And who was that individual identified as?
Janae Fletcher.
Does Shanae, would you argue with me if I said it was Shanae Fletcher?
No, I misspoke.
Is that Shanae?
Shanae Fletcher.
Did you need to refresh your memory or?
It's Shanae Fletcher.
Okay, thank you. And was that individual transported anywhere?
Not immediately.
Okay, and if you know what happened with that individual, Miss Fletcher.
Miss Fletcher was EMS declared her deceased on scene, and we stood by until homicide task force made the scene, and I believe she was taken with Wayne County medical examiners.
Okay. Can you describe where? Can you describe where at that location Miss Fletcher was found?
She was lying on Rossini Street on the north side near the curb.
Judge, may I have just one moment?
You may.
Officer Havern, I'm going to draw your attention to the screen to your right, People's Exhibit number 4. Do you recognize that location?
Yes.
And is that the location that you responded to on July 7, 2024?
Yes.
If you know do you know by looking at this camera angle where Miss Fletcher was located? And I'm going to actually go forward to the time on the camera is 2:26:17 a.m. Are you able to discern where? Did I say 226? 225. Thank you, Judge. 2:25:17 a.m. Are you able to ascertain from that video?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe for the court where Miss Fletcher was laying?
She's on the left side of the screen in front of two dark-colored vehicles. There's another dark-colored vehicle on the south side of the street. She's between those.
Okay.
For the record, I want to make sure that we are all clear. Defense counsel, I think you're probably wondering too. I'm not trying to steal your questions, counsel. I just want to make sure that the record is clear. I'm looking at where we are at this time period.
2:25:17.
And so, are you referring to what would be the top left of the screen at this point in time, Officer Havern?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say you're referring to two dark vehicles, again, is that the top left portion of the video that is stopped at this point?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I just want to make sure that the record was clear if we had to go back to the transcript. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Your Honor. And just also to be clear, this was at 2:25 a.m. This was prior to your arrival, correct?
I do not know what time I arrived specifically on scene.
Okay. When you arrived on scene, were those vehicles there?
No.
Okay. So this would have been prior to your arrival,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything further.
Cross-examination.
May it please the court. Good afternoon, officer. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Officer, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know, and I'll try to rephrase it in a way that you can understand. Is that fair?
Yes.
You're employed with the Detroit Police Department.
Yes.
You're employed in that capacity on or about July 7th of last year.
Yes.
May I ask, what is your rank in the Detroit Police Department?
I'm a police officer.
Okay. Do you work routine patrol?
Yes.
On this particular night, were you working routine patrol?
Yes.
Based upon information that is provided to you over the police radio, you arrived at this particular scene, right?
Yes.
Were you the first officer to arrive?
We were the first officers on the west side of the scene. I don't know if there were other officers on the east side. It's a very large scene.
Okay. When you arrived, were officers already present?
No.
Okay. How many people were you with in your vehicle?
One person.
One other officer. Who's that officer?
Sergeant Tyron Hogan.
Sergeant Hogan, you said?
Correct.
When you arrived, you recall taking a look at that video, right?
Yes.
Is that the first time you're seeing that video?
Yes.
Okay. When you arrived at this particular scene, those two dark colored vehicles that you mentioned were not there, correct?
Yes.
You found a body lying on the top right-hand side of that particular camera view, correct?
Of the camera view I just saw?
Yes.
It would be the top left.
Top left, my apologies. The top left-hand side, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall what time you arrived?
I do not.
Okay. You testified that ultimately at some period of time you made your way to this body?
Correct.
Okay. Did you attempt any EMS or did you try mouth-to-mouth or anything else?
I did not. I just checked if she had a pulse.
And did she have a pulse?
No.
Okay. And that's based upon you checking her neck?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you check it?
At least one time.
Okay. Let me ask you this. At what period of time did EMS arrive after you made the scene?
I don't recall how long after, but it was shortly after.
Okay, but it wasn't immediate, correct?
Correct.
There was a period of time that you were waiting, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that you didn't leave, or did you leave the scene of that body?
Not the immediate area.
You did not leave the immediate area?
No.
Okay. Were there any other officers other than your partner around during this period of time that you're waiting for EMS to arrive?
I don't know at what point other officers arrived in regards to the time that EMS arrived.
Okay. At some period of time, EMS did arrive.
Correct.
And you were standing by when EMS is exhibiting treatment to this particular person, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you still maintaining that scene, or are you looking around the area?
I know I was speaking with bystanders. Bystanders were approaching me, telling me of other victims. But again, I was still in the immediate area.
Okay, when you say immediate area, what do you mean?
Within 20 feet.
Okay, within 20 feet. However, you're also talking to alleged, witnesses and all that other stuff, correct?
Correct.
How long is EMS there and providing treatment to this particular individual, if you know?
I don't recall.
Okay. At some period of time, this body is removed, correct?
At some point, yes.
Yes. Do you recall how much after you're at the scene that the body is removed?
I do not.
Okay. All of the information that you have related to this particular incident is provided to you by looking at video surveillance and the like. You weren't there when the shooting happened, correct?
Correct.
You can't state with any specificity whether or not there was one shooter, multiple shooters, whatever have you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Were you the officer responsible for retrieving this particular video surveillance that we saw?
No.
Okay. Were you able to retrieve any other video surveillance?
No.
Do you recall how many bystanders or witnesses that you spoke to on this particular day?
I would say probably 5.
5. Okay. Did you actually take written statements, or was it just people talking to you?
No written statements, just people running up to me.
Okay. Ultimately, at some period of time, homicide arrived as well, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall how long after you made the scene that homicide arrived?
I do not recall.
Okay. Do you recall, or do you know whether or not homicide had any communications with these witnesses?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you collect any bullet casings or anything along those lines from the scene?
I did not.
Okay.
No further questions, thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this happened July 7, 2024, is that correct?
Correct.
And so that was quite a bit of time ago. Would looking at your report refresh your recollection as to what time you responded to that location?
Well, Judge, I would object because he didn't say that he didn't necessarily recall.
Sustained.
He did.
No. You went directly to asking him whether or not it will refresh his recollection. You never asked him a question where he said, I don't remember. You started out with going to his report. Sustained. Rephrase.
Okay. Defense asked you about what time you arrived. Do you recall what time?
I do not.
Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Yes.
May I approach?
You met?
Does your report, I'm sorry, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
And what time did you respond to that location?
Approximately 2:30 in the morning.
And was counsel asked you about extracting video. Was it your duty that night to extract any video?
No.
Okay, that might have been the duty of somebody else.
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
That's
Nothing further based upon those questions, Judge. Thank you.
your testimony, your excuse.
Yeah. Judge, may we approach very briefly, please?
Please. We'll go off the record.
Thank you so much.
For those of you that are just now joining us, we are watching the preliminary examination for the block party powwowing that happened last July 2024, where apparently a couple of witnesses said it was about 100 shots, but this is the young man that's 19 that has been charged with it. So we are waiting to see someone identify him, or where did they come up with him being the actual shooter? Because thus far we've had witnesses that testified that they were injured, that they were obviously present, but everyone heard the shots. No one actually saw the shooter, even seen like flashes. We haven't seen no testimony. So that's what we're waiting on now to see. There were 2 people who were unalived at this block party, and then there were 19 people that were injured. They were transported to St. John Hospital where they all received treatment. This is, I think the attorney is doing well. He's a good attorney. He has a bit of, comes across a little aggression, but I think that it's more so he's confident in what he does. He's always, from my experience, I've never seen him in trial. So I don't know if he turns it down for trial. I don't know what it is, but clearly he's paying attention. He's taking really good notes. And if it's 40 something counts, they have to have probable cause on each and every count. So even if they're able to find probable cause on 2 or 3, they may not be able to find it on the other ones. They can try to say, well, there is no identification on them. So it's going to be interesting. I think I would have held this exam because there seems like a lot of people that were injured that didn't see anybody. And granted, you're in this type of a situation, you're trying to get away. You ain't trying to be like, oh, well, I'm about to identify somebody in the near future. So, yeah. So, this is the 19-year-old that's being accused of all of this. So, looks like they'll be back going. I don't know why my camera got me looking all golden or something. What is this?
are back on the record in case number 250551861. People of the state of Michigan versus Demetrius Taiwan Shaw. We've received a number of witnesses today for the portion of the preliminary examination. It's my understanding that we have approximately 3 more witnesses to go. Given the hour and I think some other commitments that both parties have to attend to, we are going to break here at this point in the day. When we come back tomorrow, we will commence at 10 a.m. We will proceed to conclude this preliminary examination at that time.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything further?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor.
Not for defense. We thank this honorable court.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so it looks like
So it looks like they'll be reconvening tomorrow at 10 a.m. There are like 3 more witnesses. It's 3:30. Well, I guess they have commitments on both sides is what they're saying. The court closes in like an hour. But so they'll be back at 10 in the morning. I don't know what my schedule is, but I'm definitely going to try to catch it in the morning time. So make sure you come back here so we can see what the conclusion is. And for those that don't know, again, this is a preliminary examination. This is what, instead of going in front of a grand jury, you have the judge who presides over it, and the prosecution has to show that they have probable cause, which is a very low bar that a crime was committed and that person committed the crime. What we have seen thus far, that obviously there was crimes committed. People were shot. A couple of people were unalived. People were injured, grazed, shot in legs and arms and everywhere else. We seen pictures where they showed a bunch of the GUNs on the ground. Also, if anybody is interested and looks it up, they have pictures that are in the tables. I'm talking to Danielle, sorry. They have pictures of GUNs that are like that they confiscated, and there were a lot that were confiscated on the scene. So I assume that somehow, whether it was fingerprints on one of them, whether they did forensics on especially the individuals that were unalived, if they did some type of forensics, I just don't see how all the people would have been connected to this one person. However, maybe they'll try to make it like a conspiracy, co-conspiracy. I don't know. So I'm kind of curious to see how this comes together. I think this was the right case to try to do a preliminary examination for Naziah. I don't necessarily think there should have been one. That wouldn't have been, that's just my opinion, because that's how we all learned about a lot of, they put on a whole mini trial almost on that one. And but I understand, I guess, why, because there's been no body. And because of on that case, perhaps the argument is maybe she's still alive. So maybe, depending on what information, I don't have the discovery. I only get the information as the public does because it ain't my client. But clearly this attorney felt that it was best to get the testimony. And oftentimes when it comes to unaliving cases, you do hold exams. So with that being said, my intent again is, what time is it? 4:00 almost. To come back, and we'll be talking about Nesto. Hopefully you guys get your notifications. If not, then I'll post it on Instagram. So if you guys are not following me on Instagram, please make sure that you do follow me on Instagram, because although I may not necessarily post all the time on my actual posts, I do put on the stories, as you've seen a couple of people that were able to tell that we were on because I put it in my stories. So I'll put it in my stories, and that's another way that you may be able to see that I'm on, if I recall to do it. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on the lunch break, watching this preliminary examination. And yeah, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I hope you guys are.
Subscribe to the channel, comment.
Okay. What you say? Come here. What you say?
And subscribe to the channel, comment.
She says subscribe to the channel and comment. Okay, you heard Danielle. All right. So I want you guys to follow the instructions, and we'll be back tomorrow on this situation. And hopefully I'll be back tonight on that stuff. But until then, you guys make sure you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for supporting. I'll talk to you later.